this summer, we embark on a journey of spiritual transformation. Doesn't that sound exciting? And I realized that I did the thing that I usually do. We're following a book, and I'm going to bring the book, and I'm going to show it to you, and I leave it in my backpack. So, anyway, you can see it in the bookstore after service. It's called Living Originally by Robert Brummett. And Robert was one of my teachers in seminary. And the general consensus is he's a man who knows what he's talking about because he has done the work, the inner work, and he's done the research work, and he knows what he's talking about. So if he says that these are tools that we need to work on in our toolbox, he's right. So then I thought it would be a great book for us to follow. So what does it mean to live originally? A lot of people think, well, that means to be unique and to be my own special how I am. You know, it means actually to live originally means to be connected to our origin. The dictionary's first definition of original is present or existing from the beginning. So, going back to the knowing that we're one presence and one power, it's all that is. Living originally is going back to really living that way. Like we're God stuff. We're star stuff. And so we're looking at how we come back to living our truth. Who we really are and who we came here to be. Now, I talked earlier, last month, the month before, about mistaken agreements that we have made with the world and how things work and how we're supposed to be, and how sometimes we said, oh yeah, that's true that I'm limited by this or that or the other thing, but it's really not true. And so we've created these layers of protection throughout our lifetimes that have not only separated us from each other, but have separated us from the source, from God, from all that is. Well, I'm not quite as good as that. Have you heard yourself say that or heard someone else say that? We're creating these separations. So living originally is returning to living from our most authentic self. When you were born, at the very first moment, you were pretty darn authentic. And then you started learning how to do things not authentically. So our authentic self is something that we come back to, not because it's popular or because all the cool kids are doing it, but it is the real expression of you. And we're not throwing out this world. We live in this world. That's something that some people think they have to, oh, I'm just going to not do any of that. Well, that's really hard to not be a part of the world that we live in. And it's really not that reasonable to think that you can do it that way, I think. But we can express who we really are in this world that we live in and not be controlled by that, but more coming from our truth. And unfortunately, the transformation does not happen overnight. And I'm sorry, it's not always pretty. It's a process of unfolding, which is pretty exciting. And this unfolding will continue throughout our entire lives. We will think, oh, we've got something figured out, and then we'll realize, oops, there's another thing. It's pretty exciting and frustrating. So let's talk about this, because I know that some folks like to go to church to watch, or they watch an inspirational video, or they get, they read whatever Oprah says is the book to read. I'm not dissing on Oprah, I'm just saying that's what people do. And they like to do that because it feels all warm and fuzzy. And then they go about their life. Church is spirituality is something that happens for an hour on Sunday, or whenever it is that you watch the Oprah video or read the book. And there's nothing wrong with doing it that way, and I hope you do feel uplifted after attending a service or watching your video or whatever it is. But if that's it, if the spiritual journey is just something that we do for an hour on Sunday, not even a whole hour, because, we talk and we, do the songs and stuff. If that's it, then we're really missing our mission, which is about healing the world. It's about changing consciousness. My personal mission is healing the world through helping people grow consciousness, growing my own consciousness. And so how do we make our spiritual journey more than just something we sort of dabble in? Sort of like I dabble in painting. I could be really good if I would do it consistently. But I don't, so I'm not. I'm just okay. I could be really good if I played my ukulele like all the time, but I don't. So, in New Thought and metaphysical circles, you may have heard about this great little party trick that we do called programming parking spaces. Have any of you heard of programming parking spaces? Really? Wow. Okay. So when I was at the national conference, the Unity conference, a month ago, whenever it was, I was in Texas. It was really hot. We've been talking as a movement for a while now about moving beyond little party tricks like I'm going to visualize. So this is how you program parking spots. You visualize where you're going, and then you visualize an empty spot, and you visualize you and your car pulling into it right at the moment that you get there. And it's a great little party trick. And it works because when you plug into the consciousness of all that is, you time out your day to get yourself there. That's fine. But that's really small bananas compared to what we could be doing. And so that's something we've been talking about nationally, is how do we move from that kind of consciousness, like I'm just going to make my world just a little bit better for me, which is like having the parking spot you want. I said nothing wrong with that. But what about if we could do way more than that? What about that? What if we move from parking spots to growing harmony in our world and in our community, and decreasing crime, because there are people who are doing prayer projects who are decreasing crime in their communities? And what if we were stopping war? That's way more important to me than parking spots, because I can walk. So we're going to work on this. We're going to keep some of these projects. Their people are bringing them together, and we're going to start talking about how we can engage in doing some of these things, because it's exciting to me. I want to use my consciousness to change the world in a positive way, right? Yes? Okay, thank you. At least one person. So, I'm pretty fired up about this. Can you tell? So, this is what we're going to be moving towards. And one of the ways that we can do that really well is by doing our own work, right? The clearer channel we are for being who we really are and who we've really come here to be God with feet on, then the more we can positively impact our world. So, this living originally is about getting ready for that. So when we transform our consciousness, not only our life is transformed, sure, and you know what? Here's the thing. Maybe you won't always get the parking spots you thought you wanted, but there's something about your own self that changes, where you just feel like you're where you want to be, and you just slide in. And we're lucky here in Anchorage. Parking is not nearly as bad as it is in some of those places that people try to find parking spots. So that's the question. Do you want to use your spiritual prowess? Because that's what we're working on, our spiritual prowess. to have a parking spot you want, or to walk with grace and a peaceful heart through the world. Through all those bumps in the road, they happen. And I'm not saying that whatever you're doing is wrong. I'm just saying my job is to inspire you to do more, right? So let's do it. Because before we ran, we crawled. Before we leaped, we probably tripped. It's okay. It happens. So I'm asking you to take this leap of faith into something deeper and stronger, because I believe that shifting our consciousness into more and more of living originally and being who we really are is the best way to build a foundation to heal our world. Because then we know, we take from that healing place, then we move on to do the steps that we need to do. Not that it's only about us, but that we start here and work our way out. So, all these practices, this book has got 10 practices, and he actually suggests that the first 5 are something that you do for 30 days before you even go on to the next one. Whew, that's a lot of commitment. We're just going to do a week. But hopefully they all build on each other. And I'm going to be working these practices too, so this should be a fun adventure for all of us. And it's going to be scary, and it's going to be exciting, and you're probably going to find out things about yourself that maybe you didn't want to know. But that's okay, because once we find them out, we can do something about it, right? And like I said, this is a journey. I've never been on this journey, because we're always on a new journey. So I'm just the tour guide, but we're going places that's new to all of us. So the fun thing about the transformational journey is that you have to give up any control of expected outcomes or timelines. If anybody has had that kind of background in their business or their life where you're like, this is how it's supposed to happen and when it's supposed to happen. Spiritual alignment does not work that way. Just in case any of you still believe that, now you know. It does not work that way. It happens in fits and starts. And it's okay to be right where you are, because you couldn't really be anywhere else. A friend of mine said, she was talking about this stuff, and she said, I could have come no other way. I could have come no other way. All the experiences of your life have taught you what you needed to know to be here. Could have come no other way. It's okay. And being all caught up in that just makes us more comfortable. It takes away energy away from what we could be doing. So, through these practices, as we dive in this summer, we may discover things that are incongruous about who we are and how we want to show up. And you know, you can always choose to do something about it or not. I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying you might decide you want to do something about it once you realize that you've been saying something that's not in alignment with who you are, or acting in a way that's not in alignment with who you are. It's your life's journey. There's no timeline. There's no due date. There's no expected, whatever, I don't know what they use in business to say things like that. There's no one keeping score or waiting for you to level up. And I cannot make a promise of certain results, because this is your journey. And every twist and turn makes you wiser than the one before, hopefully. And, which is really great, I didn't even see what the daily word is for today, but it's about spiritual support. The fun thing is we are all on our journey, but we're walking all together. So we're here to help each other. And so, so there's a Zen story that Robert put in the book. And it says, the Zen student came before the master and bowed. Sir, what is the most important thing that I learned? And the master closed his eyes and paused and said, good judgment. The student bowed again and said, thank you. How do I obtain good judgment? And the master again closed his eyes, paused, and replied, bad judgment. Anybody really feel the truth in that story?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's just to remind you that it's okay. That's just how sometimes we learn a lesson better by making a really big mistake than if we do it right the first time, right? Yeah, we know really clearly how's the wrong way to do things. So just to remind you that that's just okay. It's just part of the self-discovery journey. We'll realize that we've made less than optimal choices. We can just call them less than optimal choices. Another learning experience. And these opportunities, these less than optimal choices, are an important element in our transformation. And so part of that is like to have that self-reflection, oops, I don't think I want to do it that way anymore. And then without judgment or getting all caught up in the drama around how we made a mistake, that's okay. Or expectations of how it's going to be. That's a really great tool to work on. Like, oh, I realize I did something. I don't want to do it that way anymore. Okay, how can we do it differently? And then move on. Not the whole beating ourselves up about it stuff. Because we can't change the past, right? Because still nobody has come up with a time machine that they've told me about. No change in the past. Can't do anything. So let's have compassion for ourselves and know that that bad judgment will be a great way for us to learn good judgment in the future. And here's the other part. We can also not just choose something better, but be willing to see what's the motivation? Why did I make that choice? Is there something in me that I need to heal that caused me to feel unsafe or threatened or whatever, that I decided I needed to respond in that way? That wasn't how I wanted to respond, but my subconscious took over. Just a question, not a judgment. Something to consider. So that we can move back into that original state of who we really are. So as we engage these tools and these practices, that our toolbox gets really full, and that's great. And we can do it as deeply as we choose. Like I said, no one's keeping score. My dearest hope is that you are inspired to take a deep step and see what's next. Just take a step and see what's next. Take a step and see what's next. And this week is the introduction. So I'm not even going to tell you what the first step is because we're going to be out of time. This is just a getting fired up start. But our homework for this week is we're tilling the ground. All these tools and practices that we're going to look at in the book are the seeds that we plant, right? And so this week, hopefully we're already doing our meditation practice, but we might create some more space in our meditation practice for more room for clarity to be happening. Maybe this is the week that you finally say, you know, there's a piece of furniture in my house that doesn't work, and it hasn't worked, but I haven't got rid of it. This is the week. Get it out. Or there's a habit that you've been like, I'm going to stop doing that, or I'm going to stop saying those words. This is the week. We're tilling the ground. We're getting ready for our transformation, right? So this is the week to say, okay, what is the things that I can get out of the way? The easy stuff. Let's just go for the low-hanging fruit. Because we're going to go deeper and deeper. But we can start with the easy stuff. There's nothing saying we can't do that, right? Maybe we're engaging in a relationship in an unhealthy way. Okay, how can we get out of it? How can we do something about that? Every step, however small, is... Here's the thing. Have you ever done the self-development cha-cha? You know, where you take a step forward and then you take a step back and you go back. The cha-cha. Okay. Where you're like, okay, I figured it out. And then you're like, oh, I did it again. Okay, I figured it out. Okay. So it's okay, because eventually you'll move forward another step. Sometimes it takes a while for the cha-cha to stick, you know. And so it's okay. So every step is worth it. Even the ones where you take a back step again. Every step is worth it. So let's all, and it's so great that it's raining today, because to me that's just like once more like getting the ground ready and fertile for what comes next. So let's all together create that space to live and be our most original self.